Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As we mentioned earlier, we started this morning with some positive news and positive note with news that finally the massive container ship that was blocking the Suez Canal for nearly a week has been partially refloated, as the Suez Canal Authority SCA head Osama Rabia made the announcement early on Monday, raising hopes that the busy waterway will soon be reopened. In order to shed more light on this very important topic, in addition to another topic that we will be discussing with our dear guest today, His Excellency Ambassador Ayoub, former Minister of Commercial, former Ambassador. We're very much delighted to have you with us this morning, and we have so much news and so many topics to discuss with you. But let's start with the positive news that we received early this morning, that the massive container has been partially refloated, and this actually raised hope that the busy waterway of the Suez Canal will finally reopen soon. How do you see this?
Good morning. Joyful day, joyful news coming from Suez Canal. Egyptians had a deep breath about the conclusion of this problem successfully with the Egyptian administration, good management of the Suez Canal.
Of course.
This means that we were all anxious to see the positive news, and it came. It will have very important repercussions to the world, to the international trade, to the shipping trade, and also to the to tourism, to Egyptian economy, and to all Egyptians who are now hopeful that tomorrow is always for sure better than today. This is something very positive and very important for us. The management, the good management of the ship, refloating the ship or redirecting it, means that Egyptian administration was successful. They were cool enough to do it properly and in a relatively very short time. Although many countries like Holland and others promised or offered their support, and maybe they came, but still when they found out that the Egyptian administration could do it on their own, this is something very positive. And it is also a lesson for the future.
Of course.
Which is very important. Lesson for the future that we need to make use of a benefit of our own mistakes, if there are any mistakes. Mistakes happen.
Yes.
But let us do it in a proper way and be very punctual and very strict as far as the regulations and rules, maritime laws are concerned. We are very pleased this happened, and this will reflect on the international trade. During the last week or 6 days, we have seen that many prices of the petrol, for example, of food products have escalated unnecessarily, but in anticipation that it will be blocked for some time. But luckily, it was not blocked for some time, but just for 5 or 6 days, and now it is back to business, and we are very pleased for that, and we hope that all the organizations who were taking part in this operation will say that what did they do, so that we will not see this happen again, which is very important for us, and also to assure the navigation companies in the world, maritime companies in the world, that Suez Canal is a waterway to reckon with, to depend on, and to consider it the first and most important waterway to minimize the cost for them.
Of course.
And we are very pleased for that. We hope that the Egyptians will rejoice and back to work.
Yes. Actually, after further dredging and excavation over the weekend, efforts by rescue workers from the SCA were to free the ship using tugboats in the early hours of today, Monday, as the Suez Canal Authority SCA said that the Ever Given has been straightened in the canal, and further tugging operations would resume once the tide rises later in the day. So we are anticipating this later in the day, and of course we need to hail the efforts of everyone who took part in this huge operation, everyone who exerted efforts to make things finally happen.
I think they were working for 24 hours a day.
Yes.
For sure, the teams of the Suez Canal were working 24 hours a day for this week, so 24 by 7, and luckily, and not luck, but it is an effort.
Of course.
Conscientious effort by the Suez Canal Authority, which resulted in this very good and positive result. It is a lesson also for the other countries, so that Egypt can do it, Egyptian management can do it. I'm very pleased for
Definitely.
that, and we are very happy for it.
Yes,
in fact,
all of us were very happy. Now, Mr. Ambassador, let's go back to another topic, as the International Islamic Trade Finance Cooperation organized a virtual roundtable with high-level speakers from the government of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the Arab Republic of Egypt, and the Kingdom of Spain, the World Trade Organization, the International Monetary Fund, the International Trade Center, and the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Western Asia, and that was on the impact of COVID-19 on trade in the Arab region and new business opportunities in the post-COVID era. A very important topic, since we are talking about the repercussions of COVID-19 on all aspects, and now we're talking about also the impact of COVID-19 on the economy and trade of the world and of the region. How do you see the importance of this conference?
It is a very important, especially when it comes at the heels of re-navigation opening of Suez Canal.
Of the Suez Canal.
It is a coincidence.
Definitely.
But what happened that 7 international organizations and countries are coming together to see what can we do together to emancipate or to invigorate and to encourage trade between Arab countries and Islamic countries. How can we face the repercussions of COVID? We know that COVID has had very severe repercussions to the economy and all over the world.
True.
But when it comes to Egypt and Arab countries, let us remember that Egypt is one of the very few countries in the world who had positive growth rate during this COVID, which is something which you are very pleased with, we are blessed with it.
Yes.
This is one thing.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Ambassador, but actually we have with us over the phone the head of the Suez Canal Authority, Mr. Osama Rabia,
Yes,
to
please.
tell us more good news.
Please.
صباح الخير يا فندم، نرحب بحضرتك في النيل الدولية.
اهلا وسهلا يا فندم، اهلا وسهلا.
صباح الخير استاذ اسامه، قول لنا اخبار، احنا سمعنا الاخبار الحلوه النهارده وعايزين تفاصيل من حضرتك.
الحمد لله احنا انجزنا عمليه تعويم السفينه بنسبه 80%. السفينه دلوقتي المؤخر بتاعها بقى موجود في المجرى الملاحي مظبوط، ومسافته بين وبين الشط 102 متر. الدفه شغاله والرفاص شغال. فاضل لنا جزء بسيط جدا في المقدم، ان شاء الله منتظرين مع المد بس الساعه 11:30 5 اعلى مد هيبقى 2 متر، هنقدر نسحبه وبعد كده ناخد السفينه نحطها في البحيرات وبعدين بقى
انا هستاذن حضرتك بس تعيد لي الجمله تاني علشان انا هترجمها لحضرتك بالانجليزي، فمعلش استاذنك.
اتفضل.
انا اسف، اتفضل.
انا بقول ان احنا نجحنا بنسبه 80% في تعويم السفينه.
Okay, so we succeeded for an 80% to refloat the boat. Okay, اتفضل.
المؤخر بتاع السفينه اصبح يبعد عن الشاطئ حوالي 102 متر، والرفاصات شغاله والماكينات شغاله والدفه شغاله.
Okay, so the torpedoes are now working and the swung is now working.
فاضل لنا جزء بسيط، هنقول احنا نجحنا بنسبه 80%، فاضل 20% في المقدم.
Okay, so we succeeded for an 80% and the 20% still remains.
منتظرين المد العالي الساعه 11:30 ان شاء الله النهارده.
ما سمعتش حضرتك؟
المد العالي.
منتظرين المد العالي بتاع الميه الساعه 11:30 النهارده ان شاء الله هيوصل 2 متر.
Yes, we are waiting for the high tides today around midday, around 12:30 midday. اتفضل.
بعد ما نوصل المد العالي ان شاء الله اللي هم 2 متر 19 هنبدا نسحب من المؤخر ونطلع المقدم اللي هو بقى عالق لسه، ونوجه السفينه ناحيه بورسعيد.
Okay, so after midday, after the expected tide by midday, the Suez Canal Authority is expected to lift the other part of the ship, that's the 20% remaining effort, so that it would take course back into the canal. تفضل يا فندم.
بعد كده نستأنف حركة الملاحة، نستأنف قطر السفينة لغاية البحيرات، وبعدين نستأنف حركة الملاحة فورا.
Okay, so they will resume the navigation and the ship will take its course to Port Said.
تمام كده فندم.
أشكرك جدا يا أستاذ
شكراً.
أسامة ربيع رئيس هيئة قناة السويس. بنشكر حضرتك جدا على المعلومات الحلوة والإيجابية، الأخبار الحلوة اللي احنا استقبلنا بيها اليوم النهاردة. بنشكر حضرتك جدا.
شكرا يا حضرتك. شكرا.
That was Mr. Osama Rabia, head of the Suez Canal Authority, and he gave us some details about the successful operation of refloating the Suez Canal. And to sum it up for you, he told us that 80% of effort has been achieved so far, and they succeeded in moving the ship a little bit, and now its front part and back part are working, the swungs are working, and it's going to head to Port Said, but they are still expecting the 20% remaining effort that will be after midday today, 12:30 p.m. Because they are waiting for the tide. After that, the ship will take its normal navigation course towards Port Said. That's to sum it up for you. Thank you very much. And
bravo and congratulations.
Yes, once again.
Good news today.
Yeah, so let's go back to our topic,
Yes,
Mr. Ambassador, and we were talking about how this very important initiative is to provide job opportunities in the Arab region. How do you see that?
We know that during last year, we have seen that inter-Arab trade has increased from 10.4% to 11.1. So there is a progress. We are building on this progress to increase the inter-Arab trade. Why we say that? It is said, or it was said, that all of the Arab countries are producing raw products or raw material. This is not correct. This is not accurate. In fact, we look, because this is my area, the marketing.
Yes.
We look to what
Former Minister Commercial, so that's definitely your area.
We look to what does this or that country import, and who of the other Arab countries can export the same product with the same specifications. We look to it from this angle. Some countries are quite developed, as far like Egypt or Saudi Arabia, in petrochemical industry. In Egypt, in case of Egypt, this industry and agriculture at the same time. So we have a relative advantage if we compare to other Arab countries. So there are many prospects for increasing inter-Arab trade once we sit together, and we are helped by the International Arab Finance Corporation to help the Arab countries to see where they can expand. When I say where they can expand, I mean many things in this respect. I mean the sectors which was not fully utilized, our capacities were not fully utilized. Sometimes it is the lack of information. Once we know each other better, in this way we can cooperate in a better way. This is one thing. Other thing is that
That's the idea of integration.
it is integration and competing or completing with the missing parts within the other country. For example, if a country is importing, for example, food products, and I have a very strong food products industry in Egypt, and instead of importing it from New Zealand or Australia or whatever, and I can manufacture it here in Egypt and at a lower cost with the specification they need. It is as simple as with the specification, because we are in the same boat. This is one thing. I think that there is a comparative advantage for the production in certain countries like Egypt, for example, when we have, it is winter in Europe, it is quite suitable for us to export to them the vegetables they need. I'm speaking about Europe, but even for the Arab countries, when they need special products at this time of the year, in many new projects which you have seen in today, they produce specially for Saudi Arabia, or especially for the United Arab Emirates, or especially for Morocco. They design the plant and the land to produce what is needed for the market, not for the local market.
Okay.
This is something
for
very
exporting.
That is very, very important for us. For example, I'll give you an example. Asparagus, for example.
Yes.
Many people don't know about asparagus, but
Yes.
some use it as a vegetable like the salad. It is really relatively expensive. I
Vegetable.
introduced asparagus when I was posted to Australia. Now some Egyptian companies are producing asparagus, growing it and exporting it, whether to Australia or to China or to Europe.
But again, this
We need-
according to the market needs. Yes.
We need to cope with the demand.
Yes.
With demand of the market. What does before we produce, we see the market. So what does the market need? We cope with the market needs, and also the changes in the tradition, changes in the tastes, changes in models, and the changes which happen. We have to cope with it. This is something which the Ministry of Trade and Industry is doing very well during the training of the staff who are specialized in export.
Okay.
This is something very important. To create an export-minded person, it is very important to train him in the customs, in production areas, even in the fields. When he goes to the field and he sees how they collect the potatoes, for example, and where does the problem happen? You should not touch the potatoes. You should handle it in such a way that it will reach the end user in this shape and this state. We are training, Minister of Trade and Industry are doing a wonderful work as far as training the staff, the commercial representation is giving them the experiences which are gained from other countries in production and in marketing. Marketing before production is something very important.
Yes.
We always say, if we are able to satisfy or to export to one market, we can export the same product to a neighboring market. These are basics in marketing. If we are exporting to one market a certain product, I can introduce another product to the same market. So marketing is very important to emancipate or to raise the standard of living, to create business opportunities, and so also to involve new segments of the community. When I say involve new segments, I mean women and new generation. Because we have seen programs, especially for women and especially for new generation, designed to help them, for example, in furniture, in cloth, in food products. We encourage them to produce for a certain market. It begins in a small, on a small scale,
yes.
and once it succeeds, we can expand it. That's something we are caring for, that the new generation, and especially the women, to be encouraged to I say it is a risk. It is not a risk. It is calculated risk. I have seen many ladies who are working, and we help them to go to the foreign markets. To go to the foreign market, let us first establish our presence in the local market. Those who succeeded, I have seen it.
Those who succeed in the local market
local
could
market,
actually go to the international
They
market.
can.
They gain the experience and the
Yes.
know-how and everything.
Which is very important as far as quality, the quantity, the tastes, the modes, what is needed now, and the commercial bureau officers in the overseas, give them some indicators, what is needed now, in which quantity and which taste, and even the colors. They say the cloth which is needed in Kenya is different from that which is needed in Italy or
Yes.
Germany, for example.
Yes.
Or for the bed coverings, for example.
Yes.
They produce it in a certain way. I have seen ladies in Alexandria, they are producing wonderful artworks and exporting it to Germany now. They began in the Asian market. We helped them to establish their presence in the market first. To, as you rightly said now, to gain experience and see what is actually needed And there is an important component here, it is the cost. It is the cost and competition. The commercial bureaus overseas speak about competition, and they say who is competing us, what is the product and how much they sell it, and sometimes they send the samples for the producers here in Egypt to see this is what is needed in this market at this time of the year. So Ministry of Trade and Industry is doing a wonderful job as far as promoting Egyptian exports, not only traditional exports, but rather for new generation or for the women, for small scale industries.
Yes.
The president himself has encouraged, he has been to Damietta to encourage small scale industries to penetrate and to establish presence in the international market. When I say international market, I begin with the local market. Then after that, I second with the Egyptian markets around us. Why I said I second with the Arab market around us? Because we have several preferential trade agreements with the Arab countries. We have several preferential trade agreements also with the African countries. So this is the second step which we go to the Arab countries and to African market, and there is a lot of opportunities for Egyptian manufacturers, for women, for new generation to go and see. Okay. If they don't know enough, don't have enough information, they can ask a commercial presentation. How can we export, for example, to Nigeria or to Tunisia or to South Africa? What is needed now? When I say what is needed now, this means that we need to use the modern tools of communication. What is needed now, sometimes it is a matter of 1 week. If I'm able to export within 1 week, then I succeed. If I will take more time, others will step in and I will not be able to. So that's something very important. Using a modern technology in coping with the needs of the market as today. This is something very important. Second thing which we have to bear in mind is that we have competition in the local market and also on the foreign markets. We need to know that we are not the only sellers or only persons or the only exporters. Many are competing us. We have to see what they sell, at what price, and at which quality, and can we beat them in this market? Yes, we can, and in several instances we beat several countries. I am speaking about Sudan in this respect. We helped Sudanese companies to establish a presence in the Egyptian market and have the inputs from Egyptian products. Yes. This is something very important.
Mr. Ambassador, how do you see the role of donor countries, international trade and development organizations in dealing with the repercussions of COVID-19 in this regard?
This is a very important area which we need to cooperate with the international organizations, whether the Islamic Trade or the UNCTAD or International Trade Center or many organizations came, 7 of them came for this conference with the Minister of Trade and Industry so that they can help cope with the changes in the market. When I say changes in the market, I mean supply and demand.
Yes.
In many cases, the market needs a product and it is not available because the standard or regular or traditional supplier could not satisfy the needs because, for example, he is not able to export for this. So this is the moment where and when the local producer can step in or jump, I will say, jump and supply. This is something very important. Something very important. The international organization are looking to the Egyptian market of 104 million consumers, and at the same time they are supporting Egypt and helping Egypt in export to the Arab countries and also in cooperating with other finance corporations, which is very important. To export, I need finance. In many cases, you find that the finance sometimes have stopped exports or curtailed it, or like handicap. But now, when the international finance corporation are supporting Egypt and the Egyptian Ministry of Trade and Industry to export, and they finance it until they get the money back. This is something very important. Other thing which is very important for us, in many times you find that the export opportunities are not well known for the Egyptian manufacturer. They help us. This market needs this product now. Can you step in? Yes, in many cases we stepped in and we achieved good results and positive results. Once we jump to a market, we can expand our presence in the same market. So the international cooperation as far as the finance corporations or trade corporations or trade organizations are helping Egypt in this respect, and quite luckily the Ministry of Trade and it is looking to the overseas, not only to the local market. They are looking to what can we do with the others to go to, let's say, to Malaysia or to Australia or to China or whatever market to export Egyptian products. This has happened several times, and we need to expand, and also we need to encourage the new generations, especially the women, to
step in.
To step in.
Yes,
they stepped in. I have seen very, very promising example for women from Alexandria, from Monofia, and from Cairo, and even from Sohag, my hometown, and when they have stepped in the Italian market. I am very pleased for that, because they will help it by the government programs to expand exports, to diversify exports, and something very important, to use modern technology to cope with the needs of the market, whether to the quality of manufacturing. When we go to Khan el-Khalili now, I see that they are using modern technology for the things which they produced 50 or 60 years ago in a traditional way.
Yes.
They are producing it with modern technology, and we are very pleased that the Suez Canal is reopened, so the international trade is going back to normal.
Definitely. I would like to thank you very much, Your Excellency Ambassador Mahmoud Ayoub, former Minister Commercial. Thank you very much for being with us this morning, giving us all this valuable information about the two topics we discussed. And I'd like to thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us in this segment of The Breakfast Show, but more still to come. So a short break and we'll be right back.
Thank you.